FPL is back with Game Week 4. Are you wildcarding this week? And what is the best Game Week 4 wildcard team to go for? Haaland? Salah? Both? All will be revealed in this video, as well as my own team selection and the plans for upcoming fixtures. Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to look at all things Game Week 4. I hope you weren't too bored over the international break and are ready to get back into FPL. We'll cover wildcard options, players and teams to target, as well as my own team selection. Let's aim for 10 likes on the video, but before we get into that, let's do a roundup of Game Week 3. It seems like an age ago now. I got 82 points overall, which gave me a Game Week rank of about 1.2 million. Overall a good game week, I'd say. It was a green hour after all. Went up from 484k to about 330k, and now overall we have 239 points. Henderson finally got us some points. He got 4 because he made 6 saves. No clean sheet though. I'll take that in a game week where only one team kept a clean sheet though. Robinson got another assist in their 1-1 draw against Ipswich. Trent played 75 minutes in Liverpool's 3-0 win over Man United. Liverpool were the only team to keep a clean sheet in Game Week 3. He did actually score, but it ended up getting disallowed. It just brushed off Salah as it went to him, who was offside. Saliba unfortunately blanked in their 1-1 draw against Brighton. I think it probably had a lot to do with the Rice red card. Let me know what you think about that red card down in the comments. Arsenal looked to be in complete control against Brighton before the red card, and to make matters even worse, it was Pedro that scored the goal to wipe Saliba's clean sheet, who I had on my bench for the second week running with 8 points. Bit frustrating that Jota blanked against Man United in their 3-0 win, Salah and Diaz picking up all the points and goals. And Rodgers, who he brought in for Nkunku in Game Week 3, blanked as well, even though they beat Leicester 2-1. Smith Rowe got 71 minutes in their 1-1 draw against Ipswich and blanked. But Eze finally got his goal. Despite a price drop to 6.9 the week before, you got to keep faith in some of these players. His data showed that he was going to start firing at some point, and he ended up picking all 3 bonus points as well. Saka managed to get an assist before Rice's red card, and he was causing Hinchelwood a lot of trouble down the right hand side in the first half, but after the red card the game completely changed. And just like Eze, Isaac got his goal as well in their 2-1 win against Spurs, taking 3 bonus points. He would have been one of the most transferred out players that game week as well. It just shows sometimes in FPL patience is rewarded. Back-to-back hat-tricks for Haaland. As I captained him, he got 34 points. He looks absolutely lethal and is a must-have in your team at the moment. The way he took all of the goals against West Ham was just absolutely mesmerising, and just shows what kind of form he's on. Overall a good game week. I'll always take a green arrow. Let me know in the comments if you did better than me. I want to move on now and talk about some of the players I think are the best options in each position. Let's start with the goalkeepers. Martinez is a great option with Aston Villa's immediate fixtures. They've got Everton, Wolves and Ipswich in the next 3. Alisson plays for the best defence in the league at the moment. They're still yet to concede a goal. And they've got a game against Nottingham Forest next. Although this uses up a Liverpool spot, which you might want to use on outfield players, and 5.5 million is quite expensive for a goalkeeper. Flecken I've got at number 3, but only from game week 6 onwards, as they play City and Spurs next. I think he's the best choice of the 4.5 million pound goalkeepers, but again I would hold off until game week 6 when their fixtures swing. Brighton's Verbruggen is next. They play Ipswich and then Forest, but the real swing is in game week 12 for them. He's now nailed on, I think, as Brighton's first choice goalkeeper, as the manager has said he doesn't want to use rotating goalkeepers this season. If you want to go down the route of rotating goalkeepers, Verbruggen and Flecken rotate really well. They pretty much will have a green fixture every week throughout the whole season. For me, I'm more likely to go for a 4.5 and a 4.0. Just to release funds for my outfield players. Another option is Raya. Now again, I wouldn't put him in till game week 6, as they play Tottenham and Man City. But Arsenal were the best defence last season. He looks solid. He's the cheapest way into the Arsenal defence at 5.5, and he's a guaranteed starter. Personally, I think Trent is essential, so I've put him at number 1. He's the highest scoring defender so far this season with 20 points, and it could be drastically higher than that considering how close he's been, whiskers away from a couple of assists, and he had a disallowed goal at the weekend. If you want to save $1 million though, Robertson and Virgil van Dijk aren't bad replacements for him. Now I could have put all the Liverpool defenders at 1, 2, 3 and 4, but that would be really boring and no use to anybody. I've put Konsa at 2, but again it could be any sort of Aston Villa defender, Digne, Pau Torres, for their fixtures that are coming up, Everton, Wolves, Ipswich in the next 3. They've shown they're still a solid team and they've got some really good cheaper options. I've put Rico Lewis in at 3. He's actually City's highest scoring defender this season so far and the cheapest. They have Brentford this week, then Arsenal and Newcastle, but after that they've got 4 or 5 games in a row that are all easy fixtures. The only downside to Rico Lewis is the fact that Walker will probably be back soon, so he could take away minutes from him. I put Saliba at 4, but this again could be Gabriel. They've got Tottenham and Man City next, so if you haven't got either of them yet, I'd wait till game week 6 to put them in. They play Leicester, Southampton and Bournemouth in game weeks 6, 7 and 8, so it might even be an idea to double up Saliba and Raya, or Raya and Gabriel. Now you might be thinking I've gone crazy here with Michael Keane at 5, but I'll pop Everton's fixtures up on the screen now, and from game week 5 they're really, really good. I know they've started really poorly, but he's a £4 million defender that you can just have on the bench. For me, he's the best £4 million option at the moment, especially as we don't know anything about Branthwaite's injury and his return date from it. Now don't get me wrong, I wouldn't go using a transfer on it just for the sakes of it, but if you're wildcarding in 4 or possibly even 6, then I would strongly consider putting him in as your cheap defender. Now moving on to the midfielders, and I've left out Mo Salah. He's quite clearly number 1. I've done the same with Haaland as well in the strikers you'll see. I've left those 2 out because they are quite clearly both the best options, and if you want them, you're going to have them. You'll see later on in the video when I go through Game Week 4 wildcards what I think about having both of them. I think having both Salah and Haaland is the best option at the moment, and I believe that the best start to the season have been the people that went with both of them. We've got another Liverpool man at number 1 though, in Luis Diaz. They're playing Forest next, and Diaz has scored 3 goals already this season. You could also go Jota, but Diaz's data just about pips his. Next I've got Eze, who blessed the ones who stuck with him with a goal last game week. They've got Leicester next, and he's actually fallen in price to 6.9, so if you pick him up now, you're getting a bargain. Rodgers is still the best cheap option for me, so I've got him in at 3. He's 5.1 million now, and they've got Everton next. Despite not returning yet this season, he's still a great option and great rotation as well. In 4, I've got Semenyo. He's got some pretty tough fixtures upcoming straight away, Chelsea, Liverpool, but then he has Southampton and Leicester. He's returned in every game so far this season, and again, he could be a great option to rotate from on your bench. Brighton have looked really good at the start of the season, so I've got Minter in. I wouldn't be adverse as doubling up on the Brighton attack at all. Personally, I'd go for somebody like Minter over Matoma because of the price point. You can save that extra million and use it elsewhere in your team. Moving on to the strikers, and I think I've got a player who's absolutely essential in João Pedro. He's already scored twice this season, and at 5.7 million, he just allows you to spend so much more money elsewhere. And as we discussed before, if you want to have somebody like Haaland and Salah in your team, he's a must. He's such a good enabler. In 2, we've got Ollie Watkins. Despite the injury rumours, I wouldn't look too much into them. Obviously, he pulled out of the international break, but for me, that was more likely to do with a lack of match fitness rather than an injury. We've got Isaac in 3 despite the amount of transfers out he's had over this week, and right after he scored nonetheless. He's got a goal and an assist this season already, so I really can't understand why he's being hated on so much. I made the mistake last season of taking Watkins out after he was getting assist after assist after assist after assist. You just don't take players out that are getting you points. They've got Wolves this week as well, so if you've got him, I strongly urge you don't sell him. Havertz is the only Arsenal attacker I've got in the list, as you can see. You might say that I'm missing Saka, but for the next 2 weeks, Arsenal have Tottenham and Man City, and there are so many more options in midfielders rather than attackers, especially this season. My personal opinion is that you could probably take out somebody like Saka for the next couple of weeks for somebody like Salah if you don't already own him. And again, we've got another Everton player sneaking in number 5, in Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Like I showed you earlier when we were speaking about Michael Keane, the fixtures are just phenomenal for Everton, despite the fact that they've started the season really poorly. And if they're going to be scoring, he's going to be the man that's doing it. He could be another great enabler at 5.9 million and a differential, as he's only 1.8% owned. Now, if you're considering wildcarding in GameWeek 4, I've put together a few drafts for you. If you're enjoying the content so far, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video. I've got 3 drafts at 3 different price points, just to cater to anyone and everybody, whatever the team value. The drafts are all made up of the same sort of pool of players, with tweaks here and there. The first one has a team value of 100.2 million, and that leaves me 0.3 in the bank. It's got a 94% game week rating on Fantasy Football Hub, and is predicted 70.7 points. Like I said earlier on in the video, I believe that the best way to go at the moment is to have Haaland and Salah, so they're both included in the team. With the uncertainty over Palmer and his injury, and Saka's fixtures, I think these are the 2 premiums to go for. Gone with Verbruggen in goal for Ipswich at home, and Fabianski to pair with him. The £4 million goalkeeper is probably going to start against Fulham because of Areola's injury. And I've stuck with Saliba. It doesn't have to be Saliba, it could be any Arsenal defender, but I've stuck with him, and you can bench him for the Tottenham game and the Man City game if necessary. Arsenal have a fixture swing in Game Week 6, and in Game Week 6 you'll want Arsenal players, so I'd stick with them for now. Then we've got Lewis and Konsa as the cheaper options in defence for the wildcard team. I would start both of them as well in Game Week 4. Lewis plays Brentford and Konsa plays Everton. Aston Villa's fixtures are good for the foreseeable future, and like I said, you're more than likely only going to need to play one of them after Game Week 6 when Saliba comes back into the team. At that point as well, Walker might have made his way back into the Man City team, and Lewis, you might be able to sell him. On the bench, as I said earlier on in the video, is Arsenal's Michael Keane, who I think is their best option at 4 million. You could also go for Ipswich's Greaves. They're both starters at the moment, and if you're being totally honest, they're probably going to be third on your bench every week, so I wouldn't worry. You just want somebody that's going to play. And to make up the defence, we've got the premium defender in Alexander-Arnold. I think he's the best defensive option at the moment, which is why we've had to go for so many enablers in the midfield. We've gone with Minter from Brighton, who plays Ipswich, Rodgers, who plays Everton, Semenyo, who plays Chelsea, Eze, who plays Leicester, and Salah, who plays Forest. In this draft in Game Week 4, I'd probably play Minter, Rodgers, Eze and Salah in midfield and leave Semenyo on the bench against Chelsea. Try not to be too concerned about the amount of cheap midfielders in the team. They actually make your team and your bench really well rounded. You haven't got a 4.5 million dud just led there not doing anything. And you can just switch in and out who's got the best fixtures each week. Up top we've got João Pedro, who I've already said I think is probably one of the most essential players in the game at the moment because of his price point. To go with him we've got Haaland and Watkins. Haaland's a no-brainer, I don't even think I have to justify that, he's just scored 2 hat-tricks in a row. But you might be a bit unsure about Watkins, but Aston Villa's fixtures are great upcoming. I know he's showing his yellow because he pulled out of the internationals, but I think that's more to do with the lack of fitness like I said earlier in the video, and I'm sure he'll start against Everton. The next variation of the wildcard draft is slightly more expensive at 100.5 million team value. That leaves me 0 in the bank, and it has a game week rating of 93%, 1% lower than the one before on Fantasy Football Hub, with a predicted points of 70. There's 2 changes to the team in this, and that is taking Watkins out and putting Calvert-Lewin in, which frees up the funds to take Eze out and put Saka in. I just really wanted to show you how you could fit Haaland, Saka, Mo Salah and Alexander-Arnold in. But personally, I'd still leave the Arsenal attacker out until game week 6. For the last variation, I wanted to show a team that was below 100 million in team value if you've lost team value this season already. It comes in at 99.9 million, and it actually has the best game week rating by Fantasy Football Hub at 96%, and the most predicted points at 72.3. This one, Eze comes back in against Leicester, and Isaac takes the place of Watkins or Dominic Calvert-Lewin as they're playing Wolves away. The fact that you can have Haaland, Salah, Alexander-Arnold, an Arsenal defender, a Man City defender in the same team is a massive benefit to me. But there are also some places where it could be improved, i.e. in game week 6, like I said, Arsenal's fixtures turn good, so you really do want an Arsenal attacker. Now you could go to Havertz in game week 6, or you could go to Saka in game week 6. It's up to you. You don't want to bank too many transfers in though. Another team that I would look to target in game week 6 would be Brentford. So you might want to go with Flecken in goal as a defensive option, and as an attacking option, Mbeumo and Visser could be really, really good from game week 6. I'm still looking at wildcarding in game week 6, so let's go and take a look at my game week 4 team selection. I've used both of my banked transfers this week, taking out Saka and putting Salah in, but I couldn't do this in one move, so I took Jota out at the expense of Salah and put Semenyo in. I'll be playing a 3-4-3 this week with Henderson starting in goal at home to Leicester, hoping for a first Crystal Palace clean sheet of the season. I stuck with Robinson against West Ham at home. I think he's got a better chance of a clean sheet and getting an attacking return than Mykolenko against Aston Villa away. Trent obviously stays in the team for their fixture against Nottingham Forest at home, and I've also got to play Saliba against Tottenham away. Preferably I'd have another option, but I'm not taking a -4, and I don't think Mykolenko against Aston Villa away is a better option than Saliba. Salah goes straight into the team for their fixture against Nottingham Forest at home, and hopefully carries on the way he's been playing now he's in my team. Rodgers plays Everton at home, and he's actually come back from international duty after scoring 2 goals, so hopefully he can carry that form on into the Premier League. Eze's next against Leicester at home. Hopefully again he can carry on his scoring form. And Semenyo just about pips Smith Rowe for me. He's playing Chelsea at home, which might seem like a more difficult fixture than West Ham at home, but Semenyo hasn't blanked yet this season, and he's by far Bournemouth's best attacker. Guaranteed 90 minutes as well, unlike Smith Rowe. Finally decided to start João Pedro against Ipswich at home after leaving him on my bench for 2 weeks in a row. Hopefully Isaac can carry on his scoring form against Wolves away. He has been scoring for Sweden in the international break as well. And last but not least, and probably my captain, against Brentford at home will be Haaland. Let's see if he can score 3 hat-tricks in a row. 9 of the 11 starting players with home fixtures this week. So let's hope for another green arrow. And that rounds it off for my Game Week 4 preview. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video, and comment down below if you've wildcarded this week and what your team looks like. And lastly, follow me on my socials and check out some of my other videos. There will be plenty more content to come throughout the season, so I'll see you in the next one.